Hey everyone, it's Hiedi Scott with DIY Dreaming, and on today's live tutorial I'm going to show you how to do secret sauce, which this was something that I sort of came up with accidentally last year, and I did it over and over and over, and I really liked the way it looked. So tonight I'm going to show you, first of all, some of the projects that I made, and then we're going to actually do one. So if you're jumping on, say hi. Hey Barbara, tell me where you're watching from. If you have any ideas that you think would be great to share, tell me if you have questions, but let me know that you're here watching. So I'm going to just jump right in. Hey Mary. Okay, so what is secret sauce? Well, secret sauce is this technique that you do where you make what starts out as plain wood from the hardware store. You turn it into something that has some character and some charm, and it looks vintage, it looks farmhouse, okay? So you start out with just your, let me scooch things back a little bit here, just your cheap wood that you can get cut at your lumber store. This is what it usually looks like after they cut it for you. Most stores, by the way, will cut a few pieces for you for free. My store won't cut anything smaller than 12 inches long. And this is just a soft pine. It's not even an expensive kind of wood, okay? So we're going to turn something that starts like this into something that looks like this, or this. This one is my favorite piece. I'll show you that again in just a second. And I have a few other examples. And then I have a funny story to tell you. So I'm so glad you're watching. Okay, this is a good example. This is what stained hardware store wood looks like, just plain. This is what it looks like when it has secret sauce. Can you see the areas that are darker and lighter and how it looks distressed? Let's see, here's another. I showed you this one. I haven't showed you this one yet. This says home, and it's just a long piece, and I put some feet on it. And in the next week, I'm going to talk about adding some legs or feet to your pieces so that they can be food risers or little displays. So check in with me for that. But this one right here is my favorite all time. Can you see how awesome that wood looks? Versus this is what it looked like just straight from the hardware store and with one coat of stain on it. Okay, so if you're watching, let me know. Tell me that you popped on, say hi. If you're watching this on replay, let me know that too. I'd love to know where you're watching from. And I'm going to just jump in. So the first time I wanted to make something with a piece of wood from my hardware store, I was going to be having a workshop, and I went in and I asked the man there that cuts the wood if he could help me pick out a couple of pieces of wood that looked perfect, that didn't have any knots or dings or anything in them. And he said, "Ma'am, these are made from trees, and the knots are where they had branches." So as I've done this more and more, hey Lucretia, hey Mary, I've realized that what really gives it a ton of charm are the knots and the places where the wood is beat up a little bit. Hey Michelle, hey Charlotte. So tonight we're going to do this piece, all right? It has a big old knot right here, and then you can see right here, it even has a little piece that, I guess, I don't know what, that's where a branch was, okay? Let me clear out my space a little bit so that you can see. And if you have crafty friends that love doing projects like this, go ahead and sprinkle my video. I'd love to do that. I'd love for you to do that and share this with them as well. Okay, so the first thing I want to tell you is you're going to go to your hardware store and you're going to get your piece of wood. It's going to have really sharp corners. It's going to have places where it's splintered, and it's not going to look fabulous. So your first step is going to be to sand it. But before you get to that, you can ding the wood up a little bit yourself. Hey Sherry, hey Joyce, and there's lots of different ways to do that. You can just go outside and lay it down and go at your piece of wood with a hammer or with an ice pick. I've also found that some of this chain from the fencing department at my local Lowe's, if you lay it on your piece and then hit it with a hammer, that gives some nice interest, okay? We're trying to make our wood look like it's old. Hey Connie, hey Lisa, thank you guys for watching. So that's one thing that you can do. And then you're gonna really sand it good. And I don't have a professional sander. You don't need to have that. I just use one of those foamy sand blocks, and I'll wrap some sandpaper around that. And so this one I have done already, and hopefully you can notice that I softened the edges and the corners, and then I just sanded the whole surface. And then you're gonna wipe it off with the dry cloth. Okay, put this out of the way. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna put your secret sauce on, and really what that is just a very light dry brush technique. And my favorite of all time paint is this stuff. It's from a maker studio, and I believe I put a link in the comments. So if you're interested in doing this project, you need biscuits and gravy. This is the paint that you need to use for this project. So you can just hop over there and get some if you want to try it. It's Rescue Restore paint. It's in biscuits and gravy. It's this awesome ivory color. And it can do this project, and it can do a zillion other things. Like for my Southern Living at Home friends that probably recognize this, it was the historic bell jar candle holder, and it was really kind of a dark brown. You can go and paint all kinds of things that you have in your house using this awesome biscuits and gravy color, and you're going to get a ton of charm. So I just wanted to show you that. Okay, so what I'm going to do for my first step is I am just going to take, this is my biscuits and gravy in one of these little squeeze bottles because it makes it easy to get to. You're going to take the cruddiest brush that you have. Seriously cruddy. Look how cruddy this is. The cruddier, the better. And then cover your surface so that you don't get paint or stain on it. Okay, and then I'm just going to dip my paint, my brush in my paint, and offload. So there's hardly any paint actually on my brush. And then you're just gonna go in different motions, different areas, and you're literally just putting enough of this paint on it that it will prevent the stain, which is the next step, from sinking in completely. And that's what gives these pieces the lighter areas and the darker areas. Hey Connie, hey Lisa, thank you guys for watching. So, and let's talk a little bit about winter decorating, because I'm probably like a lot of you, after I take my Christmas decorations down, it really feels sort of pitiful and barren in the house. Can anyone relate to that? And so I am busy preparing some new objects that have a winter theme that don't scream Christmas anymore to fill in those spots. And this year I'm doing a lot of creams and browns, whites and browns. I'm doing a few little pops of green to sort of give you the idea that spring is coming soon, and hopefully it is. And that's just a lot of nature. So these projects with biscuits and gravy, this is a darker one, by the way. I'll talk to you about that in just a minute. These are perfect for winter decorating. And really, you can use these all year long. Okay, so this board I'm working on right here, probably all in all, cost maybe $3 or $4. And when I have it all done, painted, stained, and stenciled, I am going to be adding some handles on either side, and I'm going to be making it into a charcuterie board. So I'll probably either wax or seal the top of it so that I can put food directly on it. Okay, so once you have some basic areas covered, and I do like to do around the edge, then you can do this motion that I call a jab and stab. And it's not going with the grain of the wood, it's sort of going like in different crazy directions. And honestly, when I was teaching this class last year, people would ask me every time, how much should I put on? Is this too much? Is this too little? And I'm like, you know what? You just have to do a couple pieces of this secret sauce, and then you'll figure out whether you are the kind of person that likes a lot of secret sauce or a little secret sauce. It's completely personal preference. Hey Sherry, hey Lisa, thank you guys for watching. If you haven't liked or followed my DIY Dreaming page yet, please do, and that way when I come back again for the feet and some other ideas to go on these trays and food risers, then you'll be aware of it and you'll be able to check those out too. Okay, so I think this is probably good enough, because one thing is I want it to dry a little bit. Hey Samantha! Okay, so this is what it looks like. You can see, hopefully, that there's areas where the paint is and where it isn't, and that it's going different directions, and then I did kind of put it on heavier around the edges. One thing I wanted to mention is that you have the option to either paint the edges or to not paint the edges. Personally, this is just my personal preference, I like it better when you do paint the edge, and then if you're going to use feet, which that's the subject of an upcoming Facebook Live, when you do the feet the same color. And today I'm not going to worry about the underneath of it, but if you're going to give this as a gift, you definitely need to at least stain the underneath of your piece of wood so it looks nice. Okay, so the next step after that is to put the stain on. And I'm just going to see how dry or not this is. You can speed this process up a little bit if you want to with the hairdryer. I really didn't put my paint on very thick at all, so it's practically dry. And now I'm going to be using this stuff called Hazel Mahogany Gel Stain. This is also a product from a maker studio, and there's a link in the little description of this video. And your stain can either be quite dark, like this one, or it can be quite light, like this one. It's just up to you, and what that has to do with is how much you dilute your stain with water, and then if you're wiping it off. Okay, so this jar of stain has water in it already, but I'm just going to pour a little bit into my container here. And this stuff smells so good, by the way. It has essential oils in it, and so it smells very citrusy. And I don't know about you guys, but a lot of stains that I've worked with in the past, they smell terrible. And so this is pleasant to do in the house. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to start applying my stain. I may actually want to dilute this a little bit more. Let me see. Yes, I want to dilute it a little more. Hold tight for 2 seconds while I run over to the sink and add a little more water in here. Okay, I'm coming back. darker than what you would like it to be, you can just use a wet paper towel to literally pull some of it up. And I'll show you what I mean. See, it's coming right off. And this is the effect that I'm getting now. I'm going to add just a little bit more stain to it. So if you guys have questions, please let me know. Or if you have ideas of things that we could be making using this secret sauce idea. Things for winter, things for summer. Honestly, this whole idea can be used any time of the year. It doesn't have to just be winter, but, and these make great gifts too. Last Christmas, I believe it was, I had a lot of people that made these as gifts for their friends and family. They, you can make them in a snap. They're super quick and they're super affordable. And we're not going to worry about the edges too much for today because we're going to paint those anyways. But this is what I have right now. It looks awful. So, one thing I really like about this so far that I'm seeing is I love how that knot looks in the front. You see that part right there? And also I love how it has an area where it's stained darker. Okay, so hey Samantha, hey Janet, hey Mary, thank you guys for watching. So I would probably leave it like this, all right? I don't even see any areas necessarily that need more stain. Maybe I would do a little bit more on this area right here. And the next step I'm going to do for you tomorrow morning, because I want my wood to get a chance to dry before I go on to the stencil. But I want to tell you a little bit more, show you what we'll be doing next. And so if you're not already, if you don't already like my page and you want to know what happens to this project tomorrow, go ahead and like or follow it or sprinkle it or whatever you want to say. Okay, so this is what it looks like right now. After it was completely dry tomorrow morning, then what I would do is I would just take a stencil. Those give so much charm to it. Hey Diane, hi Reba. This is my favorite one. It's off of my favorite project too, off of this project right here. This is called a Clubs floor tile. It's a mesh stencil. It's from a maker studio. There's a link to all the stencils on my little post. So what I would be doing if I chose to use this one is I would lay it down when it's all dry and burnish it down, and then using this same light colored paint, biscuits and gravy, I just use a foam brush to push it in, and then I would go around the edges and paint that with the same biscuits and gravy. And then for this project, I'm not going to put legs on it, but I am going to put two handles on it. So that's what I would do. Here's another stencil that is a great one. This one, I can't remember what the name of this stencil is, but it's a great one. Love it. And if you're thinking, oh my word, her stencils look so cruddy, it's because I've used them so much, and that's a good sign. And they're still usable for a long time. Here's another one that's great. And then here's the XOXO one, and there's also one that's just like this that says home. I'm thinking for tomorrow that I may do a small stencil in a bottom corner that says grateful, thankful, blessed or something like that, and then put handles on it. But I don't know. I never decide what a project's going to be beforehand. I just sort of let it unfold, and I figure out how it's going to turn out as it's actually doing that. But I think that's pretty much all I wanted to show you for tonight. We'll continue tomorrow morning. I hope that you like this secret sauce idea. I'm sorry I was a little rushed. I only had a few minutes before everybody would be back in the house tonight. But until I see you tomorrow morning, I will be DIY dreaming at more projects and crafts for you that are quick, because I have a short attention span, and maybe you do too. They're easy. They don't require a ton of things. They are super affordable. They're maybe a little unusual, and they require absolutely no artistic abilities. So thank you for watching this first step, and tune in tomorrow morning or come back to watch it on replay to watch number 2. All right, thanks everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.